In the past few decades, something remarkable and troubling has been happening in the world of relationships. Surveys from the Pew Research Center show that nearly 60% of men in their 20s and 30s report feeling emotionally disconnected from the women they date. Meanwhile, relationship satisfaction among young couples has dropped by nearly 20% over the past decade. These aren't just numbers. They reflect a deeper, often invisible shift in how men and women relate to each other. Across social media, dating apps, and even in everyday encounters, men report feeling misunderstood, dismissed, or outright frustrated. A 2023 study by the American Psychological Association found that men are now more likely than ever to pull back from emotional intimacy. Not because they don't care, but because they feel they are constantly failing to meet expectations they often don't fully understand. The modern dating landscape is complicated. Women are thriving professionally, socially, and personally, yet many men feel like the rules of the game have changed overnight. What once might have been a simple courtship or a steady partnership now feels like navigating a minefield of mixed signals, social pressures, and unspoken rules. The result? Many men are quietly retreating, withdrawing emotionally, and in some cases, disengaging completely. This is not a story about bad men or confused women. It's about a generational shift in understanding, communication, and emotional connection. When men feel unseen or unappreciated in relationships, it's not just a private struggle. It affects the fabric of modern dating, partnership, and even family life. In this story, we'll explore why men feel disconnected, how communication between the sexes has evolved, and what this means for modern relationships. We'll look at statistics, real-life scenarios, and psychological insights to uncover the invisible forces driving this divide. By the end, you'll have a clearer picture of why modern women often don't understand men, and why this misunderstanding isn't just frustrating. It's reshaping the way relationships are built today. It's one thing to feel frustrated in dating, but it's another to quietly retreat from relationships altogether. Studies show that nearly 40% of men in their late 20s and early 30s report a tendency to avoid emotional intimacy, even with partners they care about deeply. This isn't about laziness or lack of effort. It's about a disconnect between expectations and emotional reality. Modern men often feel they're walking a tightrope. On one side, society celebrates women's independence, success, and ambition, and rightly so. On the other, traditional masculinity still lingers in subtle ways, asking men to be providers, protectors, and emotional anchors. For many, the combination creates a pressure cooker of uncertainty. They want to contribute and connect, but they aren't always sure how. A 2022 survey by the Relationship Research Institute revealed that 53% of men feel misunderstood by their female partners, with complaints often centering on emotional needs, communication styles, and conflicting expectations. Men describe feeling like their gestures go unnoticed or their efforts to communicate are misinterpreted. This disconnect leads to frustration, withdrawal, and in some cases, emotional numbness. Dating apps amplify the problem. Endless profiles and superficial interactions make men feel replaceable and undervalued. Many admit that after repeated experiences of miscommunication or rejection, they start protecting themselves by building emotional walls. These walls aren't meant to shut women out completely. They're a defense mechanism against hurt, frustration, and misunderstanding. The psychological impact is tangible. Men who consistently feel misunderstood report higher levels of stress, anxiety, and even mild depressive symptoms. In extreme cases, these patterns contribute to the broader phenomenon of male disengagement in social and family life. A man who feels perpetually misread or undervalued may stop pursuing relationships, delay marriage, or avoid long-term commitments entirely. Understanding why men pull away is crucial, not as a way to place blame, but to highlight the gaps in communication and expectations that exist in modern relationships. Only by examining the subtle ways emotional needs are overlooked can couples begin to reconnect and rebuild trust. In the next section, we'll explore how women's expectations and societal pressures shape these dynamics, and why even well-intentioned efforts sometimes backfire. While men are pulling away, women are often left confused and frustrated, wondering why the men in their lives seem emotionally distant. The truth lies partly in differing expectations, which are shaped by cultural norms, social pressures, and decades of relationship advice that rarely accounts for men's emotional needs. A 2021 survey by Pew Research found that over 60% of women aged 25 to 40 expect a partner to be highly communicative about feelings, while only 35% of men report feeling comfortable expressing emotions openly. This mismatch creates a cycle. Women feel unheard, men feel pressured, and the gap widens over time. Social media and dating culture intensify these misunderstandings. Women are exposed to narratives of emotional intelligence and vulnerability as ideal traits in men, while men often see mixed messages: to be strong and independent, yet emotionally available. The result? Men withdraw to protect themselves, while women demand more connection, unknowingly escalating tension. Communication style is another major factor. Men tend to process stress internally and may seek solutions rather than verbal validation. Women, on the other hand, often seek empathy and acknowledgement first. When men attempt to fix a problem instead of offering support, women may interpret it as emotional unavailability, furthering the divide. Expectations around dating, commitment, and partnership also play a role. Women today have more independence, career focus, and life choices, which is empowering, but for some men, it triggers uncertainty about their role in the relationship. Without clear scripts or models, men may feel inadequate, resulting in subtle avoidance or disengagement. These patterns aren't about fault. They're about a mismatch between evolving social norms and traditional emotional frameworks. Men aren't incapable of intimacy. They are often unprepared for the intensity of modern expectations. Women aren't unreasonable. They are seeking connection and understanding. The challenge lies in bridging the gap. Recognizing these dynamics is the first step toward healthy communication. Couples who succeed do so by acknowledging differences, setting realistic expectations, and cultivating patience. In the next section, we'll examine the psychological toll on men, revealing why withdrawal can become so entrenched and what it means for relationships long-term. As misunderstandings and expectations mount, many men begin to experience a silent but profound psychological burden. The withdrawal from relationships is rarely a simple decision. It's often a coping mechanism against stress, anxiety, and feelings of inadequacy. Research consistently shows that men are less likely to seek mental health support than women. According to the CDC, men are nearly 4 times more likely than women to die by suicide, and social isolation is a major contributing factor. Emotional pressure in relationships, combined with societal expectations of stoicism and self-reliance, can leave men feeling trapped and undervalued. Modern dating culture amplifies this pressure. Men face a paradox. They are encouraged to be sensitive and emotionally available, yet many report feeling judged for vulnerability. They are expected to succeed professionally, maintain physical fitness, navigate complex social dynamics, and simultaneously provide emotional labor. For some, this results in chronic stress and withdrawal. The psychological toll is not abstract. It manifests in loneliness, depression, and loss of purpose. Men who feel they can't win often disengage from dating entirely or enter relationships half-heartedly, which further frustrates women and reinforces a cycle of misunderstanding. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that men who report feeling socially disconnected are also more likely to experience substance use, anxiety disorders, and poor physical health. Isolation also affects identity and self-worth. Many men tie their value to success in relationships or providing for others. When modern societal shifts make these roles more ambiguous or challenging, it can erode confidence and drive withdrawal. Unlike women, who often maintain strong social networks, men may lack alternative sources of emotional support, making them more vulnerable to despair. Understanding this dynamic is crucial. Withdrawal is not rejection or indifference. It is often a protective response to overwhelming pressure. Recognizing the psychological toll allows women, partners, and society to approach men with empathy rather than blame, and encourages men to seek support without stigma. In the next section, we will explore how these dynamics affect relationships as a whole, examining the consequences of male withdrawal and the ripple effects on intimacy, trust, and long-term partnership stability. When men begin to withdraw emotionally, the impact on relationships is immediate and far-reaching. Partners often interpret this withdrawal as indifference, lack of commitment, or even rejection. However, the underlying reality is usually stress, confusion, and a sense of inadequacy rather than deliberate disengagement. Modern women may notice that men are less communicative, more hesitant, and less willing to invest in long-term commitments. Studies indicate that men today are delaying marriage and long-term partnerships more than any previous generation. According to Pew Research, the percentage of men aged 25 to 34 who are unmarried has steadily increased over the past 2 decades, highlighting a cultural shift in relationship patterns. This emotional retreat has ripple effects. Trust and intimacy often decline when men struggle to express vulnerability or confront emotional challenges. Women may feel unsupported or alone, which increases tension and misunderstandings. Over time, small conflicts that could have been resolved escalate into patterns of frustration and disappointment. The consequences extend beyond romantic relationships. Friendships, family connections, and professional partnerships can suffer as men limit emotional engagement. This can create a feedback loop where isolation leads to greater stress, which in turn reinforces withdrawal. Psychological studies confirm that men who feel disconnected from partners and communities are at higher risk of depression, anxiety, and even physical health issues. Economic and social pressures compound these effects. Men who face financial instability or professional setbacks may experience a heightened sense of failure, leading them to disengage further from intimate and social relationships. The combination of modern dating expectations, shifting gender roles, and personal stress can make men feel like outsiders in their own lives, unintentionally straining relationships with partners and families. Yet, awareness of these dynamics can provide a pathway forward. Couples who acknowledge male stress and emotional withdrawal are better equipped to navigate challenges. Communication, empathy, and structured support, such as therapy or guided conversation, can bridge the gap between expectations and reality. Understanding the consequences of male withdrawal in relationships is crucial not only for individuals, but for society at large, as it affects family stability, emotional health, and community cohesion. In the next section, we will explore strategies and solutions to foster understanding, connection, and mutual support in modern relationships. Navigating modern relationships requires intentional effort from both men and women. Understanding why men withdraw is the first step, but the second, perhaps more challenging step, is creating strategies to bridge the emotional gap. One of the most effective approaches is open, structured communication. Men often struggle to express vulnerability spontaneously, and women may misinterpret silence as disinterest. Couples can benefit from regular check-ins, where each partner shares feelings, expectations, and frustrations without judgment. Research shows that couples who practice consistent emotional dialogue experience higher satisfaction and lower conflict rates. Another key strategy is acknowledging societal pressures. Modern men face economic stress, cultural confusion, and shifting gender roles, all of which can influence behavior in subtle ways. By recognizing these external pressures, women can approach relationships with empathy instead of blame, and men can feel supported rather than judged. This creates a foundation for mutual understanding and patience. Building emotional intelligence is also critical. Men can learn to identify and articulate their feelings, while women can learn to interpret emotional cues and respond constructively. Workshops, books, or couples therapy focused on emotional literacy can equip both partners with tools to navigate conflict and strengthen intimacy. Shared experiences are another powerful solution. Activities that encourage collaboration, whether cooking together, exercising, or pursuing hobbies, help men reconnect with their sense of purpose and value in the relationship. These experiences reinforce trust, companionship, and emotional engagement, counteracting patterns of withdrawal. Finally, setting realistic expectations is essential. Modern relationships are complex, with evolving roles and responsibilities. Couples who clarify expectations around work, family, and personal space are less likely to encounter frustration or disappointment. Establishing a shared vision for the relationship ensures both partners feel heard, respected, and valued. These strategies are not quick fixes. They require consistency, patience, and willingness to adapt. But when applied thoughtfully, they can transform the dynamics of modern relationships, allowing men to engage emotionally and women to feel understood. By implementing these approaches, couples can address the consequences of male withdrawal before they escalate into long-term issues. In the final section, we will examine the broader societal implications of these dynamics and how understanding men's emotional needs can strengthen communities and families. The dynamics of modern relationships do not exist in isolation. They ripple outward, influencing families, workplaces, and communities. When men withdraw emotionally, it is not only the partner who feels the impact. Children, friends, and social networks are affected as well. Studies show that children raised in environments where fathers are emotionally distant face higher risks of behavioral issues, academic challenges, and difficulties forming healthy relationships themselves. This highlights how male emotional engagement is a cornerstone not just for romantic partnerships, but for social stability. Beyond the family, men's withdrawal can influence workplaces and communities. Emotional disengagement often coincides with reduced motivation and productivity, which can affect team dynamics and economic output. At the community level, men who feel disconnected are less likely to participate in volunteering, mentorship, or local initiatives, creating a gap in civic engagement. The consequences extend beyond statistics. Neighborhoods lose active contributors who traditionally help maintain social cohesion and communal support structures. Addressing this requires a multi-layered approach. Families and partners must practice empathy and open dialogue, as outlined in previous strategies. Schools and workplaces should implement programs that foster emotional literacy and mental health awareness, normalizing vulnerability and providing safe spaces for men to express struggles. Society as a whole benefits when men feel valued for more than just productivity or income, allowing them to engage fully as partners, fathers, and citizens. Ultimately, the challenge is to redefine masculinity for the 21st century. Strength, courage, and responsibility remain important, but they must be balanced with emotional intelligence, adaptability, and open communication. Men should be empowered to navigate modern expectations without stigma, while women, and society at large, should recognize the pressures men face and offer understanding rather than judgment. The stakes are high. Healthy relationships, thriving families, and resilient communities all depend on bridging the gap between men and women in understanding and emotional connection. When men feel seen, supported, and respected, they are more likely to participate actively in their relationships and communities, creating a positive feedback loop that benefits everyone. In conclusion, modern relationships are not simply about personal happiness. They reflect the health of society itself. By acknowledging why men sometimes withdraw and implementing strategies to foster understanding, we can strengthen partnerships, enrich families, and create communities where everyone thrives. This conversation is essential, and it starts with awareness, empathy, and intentional effort. Understanding men is not just a personal concern. It is a societal imperative.